Excellent. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone, for being here. As Nick said, this is our first time doing this summit. And it's an interesting time to be doing it. I think the town hall, to begin things, talked a lot about the internal challenges. And I'm just going to sort of give a broad overview of the state of the content marketing industry right now. In thinking this through, I went back all the way back. I remember at the town hall, someone said, well, we've been at this for 20 years, but really went back to 1900. And in France at that time, there was a revolution going on. An industry was changing how people lived, and that was the automobile. But at the time, it was somewhat of a novelty. And there was two French brothers who were involved in the industry, and they wanted it to grow. And so they hit upon an idea to create content to get people to drive more. They were in the tire business, and so they decided to come up with a guide that they would distribute and that would tell people not just how to change a tire, but also where to get gas, because it was really hard back then, and also where to stay and where to eat. And there was only a couple thousand people who drove, but soon more and more people drove, and the Michelin Guide was born. And so I think what we're seeing right now is a bit of a resurgence in what's been going on for a long time. And that's that marketers are rediscovering the power of content. Content is what engages people. It is what educates them. And marketers can develop trusted relationships by doing this. And I think what we're seeing is, everyone now is using content, and that's across the board. And the growth rate is expected to keep growing, and I think now the question is solving some of the challenges. So one of the big opportunities that I see going on is the rise of platforms. So platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, like Snapchat, like Twitter, these are connecting more and more people. They have 2.2 billion combined, now granted that's overlapping, user base, just monthly users. So the entire world is connected through these platforms. And along with that, we were seeing this tremendous shift to mobile. And I think when you combine the shift to platforms with the shift to mobile, you've got something very, very powerful as far as a distribution means. But metrics remain an issue. This is something that came up a little bit in the town hall, and I expect it to be a bigger issue in tomorrow's town hall, is what the KPIs. I mean, just like the Michelin brothers, they, of course, wanted to create content that people loved, but they also wanted to sell tires. And at the end of the day, whether content marketing sits in its own department or whether it is part of the PR department or part of the brand marketing department, there needs to be a set amount of KPIs. And this is, from all the research, says that this is a big issue. That 86% of marketers are not sure whether their content marketing is effective. And 50%, struggle to prove the ROI of this. One other thing that we're seeing is that publishers are playing a big role. I think years ago, there was this idea that maybe brands don't need publishers as much. But I think what we've seen is publishers are figuring out ways to lend their expertise to brands when they're trying to reach their audiences. And so when you look at the rise of BuzzFeed, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things for the creation of a modern media company. But one of them is that they've really hung their entire business on content marketing, and creating content for brands that is valuable to their audience. I'd say the same for Vice. Vice is many things, but it is just as much an agency as it is a publisher. And I think the success that they've had sort of shows how a modern media company needs to be both. I don't know if you've seen, but they're doing this program with Bank of America called the Business of Life. And Bank of America is trying to get young people basically to use its services, but they're also seeing a need because a lot of young people really don't understand a lot of things about personal finance. So they collaborated with Vice to create an entire new program just around how to get an apartment lease, how to start saving, and those kind of issues, and do it in a Vice way that actually connects with the audience. One of the other, and the last thing I would say is, along with that, as brands are becoming publishers and as publishers are working more with brands on the subject of content, is that we're seeing that this blurring of the lines is an issue. Contently said that 66% of the people felt deceived when they were told that sponsored content was from a marketer. The ANA, oops, let me go back. The ANA found that 66% of marketers want clear disclosure of native ads. So, when we talk about content, the goal of it is to create a trusted relationship with consumers. So I think part of having that trusted relationship, particularly when doing native ads, is to be clear as far as where it came from. So hopefully that's an issue that will come up a little bit later. Now, I want to start with our Digiday challenge board. The challenge board is something we do at each event. It's one of the things that make it unique, and actually it's a very valuable part of the event. So the idea behind the challenge board is for all of you to go to one of the tables in the back and pick up, we have what look like sticky notes, but they're actually magnets, and to take one of the markers and write down on it one challenge that you end up facing on a daily basis when it comes to creating content and content marketing. It can be an internal challenge. It can be an external challenge. You don't need to put your name on it. Please don't. They're better when they're anonymous. And what we're going to do then is we're going to ask you to put them up on those two boards over there. If you're a technology provider, please use the board to the left. And if you're a brand or agency, please use the board to the right. And we do that because some of the challenges often are very, very different when it comes to this. So what we're going to do then is we're going to sort of group them into main themes, and they'll actually inform the content over the next 3 days. So I'm going to ask you all, while we play our challenge board music, to get up and to go to the back tables and to grab a Sharpie and write down your challenge. You can do more than one if you'd like. Does anyone know where this song is from? Neil does. The judge. Please be more specific. People's Court, that's right. Judge Wapner is the name you were groping for. No, the prizes are later. Do you know the name of the bailiff? Yes. Now you should be worried. Do you know the name of the court reporter who would interview the people afterwards? Doug Llewellyn. Wow. Okay. Rusty. I don't think he's with us anymore. Okay, we're getting some challenges up there. Please write only one challenge per sticky note, if you don't mind. If you have multiple challenges, multiple stickies. full board. Okay. All right. I think that is it. We've got a full board, so that'll give us a lot to work with. My colleague Shireen Patak is going to be charged with the unenviable task of organizing all of those into main groupings, but usually some main themes end up popping up pretty quickly. So we've got a bunch of really good speakers from brands and from agencies and from technology providers that are going to talk about many of the issues that are up there on that challenge board. And I know from the town hall, and we're going to have a report on that later, that a lot of the challenges are the internal challenges about how to do this stuff. A lot of times, we do focus on the external when, the challenges that marketers face oftentimes reside within the organization, whether it's establishing metrics that work or more likely establishing processes that work. So to kick things off, I want to bring up Tina Walsh. Tina is the Director of Digital Marketing and Content at Hasbro, and she is going to take us inside Hasbro's content strategy. Tina?